Hunger is everywhere.
If the gray smoke lifted and the sun shone down on the scarred and cratered battlefield that we used to call our town.
I decided to do my project on the downtown east side of Vancouver, volunteering at a women's dinner program run out of the Life Skills Center. I went there once or twice a week for the past 4 weeks. I did it there because I wanted to start by decreasing world hunger one step at a time, and I thought it would be best to start somewhere within reach. Originally, I thought I was going to be overseeing the food preparation in the kitchen, but as I quickly learned, the kitchen was a busy place and I would just be in the way. So, I started taking note of what the cooks and volunteers were making, as well as what they had in stock from the Greater Vancouver Food Bank. I began compiling a list at home, including all the food that I saw, as well as all the canned goods in the pantry. I decided to make a poster for the kitchen staff that included the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges for adults, as well as the 4 major micronutrients: zinc, vitamin A, iron, and iodine. I also included examples of food that contain each micronutrient. At the end of the poster, I included a few facts that I thought would help with iron absorption, because many people on the downtown east side seem tired a lot. On my poster, I put to avoid drinking black tea with their meals and to try and include vitamin C when they're eating iron-rich meals. I also made a poster to go up in the dining room for the women that includes how to make incomplete proteins complete, as well as the same few facts as the poster in the kitchen had. The second time I volunteered, I thought it would be a good idea to sit down and speak with the women that were eating at the dinner and learn what their thoughts were regarding hunger on the downtown east side. I asked many questions and received various answers about the food and what was needed for those individuals. This project appealed to me specifically, as I previously volunteered on the streets giving out harm reduction supplies to the residents stuck in the poverty cycle. After volunteering on the streets and getting to know the people down there, I knew I wanted to help more, so I thought this was a perfect opportunity. I am always full of questions for the staff I volunteer for, and I'm constantly wondering how they handle getting so much and sometimes so little from the food bank. According to a study done about women living in Canada's poorest areas, Canada has more than doubled its use of the food bank in the last 10 years. This made me realize food insecurity in my own hometown was on the rise and something needed to be done. This experience was both saddening and rewarding. I never realized how many children actually came in for the dinners with their mothers. I also didn't know how old the young women were who came to the dinners. This was probably the most saddening part, seeing women around my own age suffering from a problem I could never imagine. Some were just 18 years old and some were about 60. That being said, it was the best feeling to make people's day. Everyone was so grateful to be receiving a nice warm meal that was made with care. I couldn't express how thankful they were, but the look on their faces was all I needed. One resident even drew me a picture. When I sat down and talked to a few women, the openness I received was amazing. They spoke to me like a friend and seemed to be so happy that I was taking the time to have a conversation with them without any judgment. One lady specifically made my experience eye-opening. She was a young refugee who had recently come from Sudan. She was the most thankful, polite, hardworking woman I had ever met. She had already learned some English and was ready for any challenge that came next. She expressed she couldn't experience anything harder than what she had experienced before, so she was ready for what the future in Vancouver had for her.
A very well, fantastic job.
Although my action I chose to do was based in Vancouver, I do believe it affected world hunger on a small scale. In March 2013, about 833,000 people accessed the food bank in just 1 month in Canada. Of those 833,000 people, about a quarter of them were of Aboriginal descent and about half were women. The dinner at the Life Skills Center was for women only, and from what I experienced, many of those women also identified as Aboriginals. Each Wednesday, the number of women who came through the doors to receive dinner was astonishing. There were about 100 women who came in for dinner each night. Some stayed to socialize where others grabbed one to go, and sometimes they would grab an extra for a friend. I believe that starting locally was a realistic approach to helping world hunger, as it was a manageable action I could do myself. On the downtown east side, there are women suffering from nutritional challenges all over because they have limited access to food, money, and shelter. These dinners are one way of ensuring the women on the downtown east side get a nutritious, balanced meal served to them at least once a day. Many of these women coming into the shelter are pregnant, so this meal is extremely important for both them and the developing fetus, as many babies are born malnourished because of their mother's diet. Much documentation has provided the solid correlation between malnourished mothers raising malnourished children all over the world. I believe that my posters will help the women understand what they can combine to make incomplete proteins complete. From what I saw over the last month was that there was a lack of animal protein provided by the food bank, but there were a ton of incomplete proteins given. These incomplete proteins can be made complete when paired properly. This is what my poster demonstrates. Although I am mostly discussing the benefits my action provides, there are some limitations to it. I cannot reach out to the men directly because this dinner is only for women, as they are the most at risk. Also, I am not addressing the other issues on the downtown east side that lead to poor nutrition, like the ongoing drug use, poverty, prostitution, and violence. Hopefully what I am doing is helping and will lead to better nutrition overall, even with the added obstacles these individuals must face. I believe I made a difference for the women on the downtown east side. It may not have been major, but it was definitely acknowledged by the women. The gratitude I received for being there, as well as hearing how much they appreciate the other volunteers, was amazing. I think speaking with some of the dinner guests and making them feel comfortable will ensure they will come back again and hopefully tell their friends so more women can be exposed to better nutrition on a regular basis. The single most important thing I learned by doing this assignment was that the problems I have in my life are not nearly comparable to the women on the downtown east side. Hearing the women's story from Sudan made me never want to complain again. My biggest worry in life is getting good marks in school, while their biggest worry is surviving. It made me realize that there are bigger problems in the world and that I am lucky to be where I am today. It also made me recognize that I should take more time and help out on the downtown east side instead of staying cooped up studying for hours, probably getting nowhere. The little amount I did was noticeable, and the appreciation I received was beyond words. When I began this project, I was stressed about how much time I was going to be spending volunteering, but then after the first day, I couldn't wait to go back. I ended up spending every day after that brainstorming ideas about how to fix the ongoing problems surrounding hunger worldwide. I have asked if I could come back to help with the dinners and talk to the women who come. I want to slowly explain my posters I've created to the kitchen staff and to the women over the next few months of summer. I believe educating about how to make incomplete proteins complete is one step to ending the hunger crisis on the downtown east side. I will make multiple copies of my posters and sit down with anyone who is open to talk about nutrition. I'm also going to try and figure out the logistics of getting the micronutrient sprinkles developed at UBC for the women and children on the downtown east side.